Well, welcome to our channel. If you've been here before, then welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about the pros and the cons in 2023 of living in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
If you want to know more about living or playing in Fredericksburg, then subscribe to our channel.
And as much as we love making these videos, we love even more helping you find the perfect home in the right location in the right neighborhood. If you are considering moving here, then call or text us. We get these calls all the time. We love helping people do exactly what I just said. Call or text us. Our contact information is in the description below. So as I mentioned, Ruthie and I are local real estate agents. We have been working and living in this area for a long time, and we actually love it. I actually moved away twice and couldn't wait to come back both times. So it's a wonderful place to live, but no matter where you live, there's going to be pros and there's going to be cons. And what we're going to do in this video is give you what we consider to be the top pros and the top cons in 2023, starting with...
Well, one of the things that stands out to me, one of the big pros, I think, is actually the location. We're kind of sitting, Fredericksburg is kind of sitting right in between Richmond and DC. So for those that need to travel either way, you're kind of about 50 miles from each from where we're sitting in Fredericksburg.
Yeah, so depending on traffic, obviously, but roughly an hour to each. An hour to DC, an hour to Richmond. Another great thing about the location is you're only a couple hours to the beach and within a couple hours of the mountain. So it's a really great location. And if you're going north for jobs, this is a fabulous bedroom community of Washington, D.C. And our second pro that we're going to talk about is the VRE, the Virginia Railway Express. So we have a few train stations in the area. We have one right downtown, the Fredericksburg station. We have the Leland station, which is just north of Fredericksburg, and we have the Spotsylvania station, which is just south of Fredericksburg. So if you want to use the train to commute north to DC especially, then we've got you covered with the Virginia Railway Express. Another bonus to having the train station in Fredericksburg is you can also catch the Amtrak there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can take trips,
yeah,
trips on
day
the Amtrak.
Trips. You can take day trips to different locations. I see one of the benefits of using the train station when you're commuting north is you can sleep on the way to work.
Right. Catch the Z's, get up, get to the train station, sack back out. Yeah. Which sort of leads us into the first con we're going to talk about. So, and maybe not the biggest con, but certainly one of the biggest cons of living in the Fredericksburg area is the traffic. So there's a lot of different aspects when we're talking about traffic. I really feel like the area, the Fredericksburg area, has grown faster than we've developed the roads. Yeah. And that really shows up in the ancillary roads like Route 3, Route 1, but certainly on 95 as well. I know if you get off at the southern end of town down around the exit 126, from there my daughter lives like a mile and a half from there, and it usually takes about 15 minutes to go that mile and a half, and that's just rough to me. And then there's 95, right?
Oh, yes, 95, you want to pick and choose your times to get on it. But I will say it is definitely, we have a lot of traffic, but they are widening so much. There's a lot of road construction happening right now, and even on 95, because they are bringing the HUV lanes all the way down to, I think, exit 126 is as far as they're going to go, but that's helps some, but there's still a lot of traffic out there.
Yeah, that's an improvement for 2023 is the fact that we know that's coming. But 95 can be an utter nightmare. There's times that you get on and there's no explainable reason why traffic is like it is. I've driven miles and miles in stop and go traffic and never saw a thing that should have been making it that way, and that's just the nature of I-95.
So another pro that we have is if you're looking for things to do, Fredericksburg has an abundance of activities. Whether you want to go alone to do an activity or with family, there's lots of things to do in the area.
Yeah, we have lots of parks. We have city parks, lots of city parks. We have county parks, and we've got the battlefield parks around. There's an abundance of places to get outside, to run, to play, to have fun, to hit the hiking and walking trails, biking trails around Fredericksburg. Water sports, Lake Anna State Park's not terribly far away. There's a bunch of water sports there. the Rappahannock River, and in fact, the Rappahannock River is another pro. It's a pro in and of itself. You know, I came to the area in 1986, and the very first thing I fell in love with was the Rappahannock River. I used to do, now it's much more rural around the river than it is now, but I used to do a bunch of smallmouth bass fishing in the Rappahannock River. I loved going fishing in the river. I've canoed in it, kayaked in it, I've floated on it, I've swam in it. I just absolutely love the Rappahannock River. It's a pro in and of itself.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really pretty. It's a great, the canal walk, just walking along the river is really pretty. One of my favorite things I think about living in Fredericksburg has been all these years, all of the activities, and especially raising my kids, my children here, because there were always so many activities you could be involved in. You could be very busy, or you could, you know, sit back and be a little bit more laid back, but there's just so much here. Yeah,
and circling back to the river, if you drive along the canal path that Ruthie was talking about, you're looking at the river. It is gorgeous. I failed to mention that. She's right. It's a gorgeous river. But in the summer months, you'll always see someone playing in that river. It's a wonderful resource that we have out here in Fredericksburg.
Lots of tubers.
Yep. Now for a con, and it's a con that no one really likes to talk about, and that's the crime rate in Fredericksburg. You know, the crime rate in Fredericksburg, the violent crime rate, is slightly higher than the national average, but the property crime rate is pretty significantly higher than the national average, which is really interesting because if you look at the state of Virginia, offsetting those numbers, the state of Virginia is actually ranked as, I think, the 6th safest state in the United States in terms of violent crime. In terms of crime, period. I think violent crime is rated 4th safest, and for property crime is rated 13th safest. But the city of Fredericksburg itself, like I said, slightly higher in violent crime, considerably higher in property crime. But you know, the interesting thing is, despite the statistics, I can say I've never felt unsafe anywhere around the city. In any neighborhood, downtown, day, night, I've never felt unsafe.
I don't think I have. Well, I know I haven't.
All right, another pro is, we've mentioned this in other videos, but you know, a lot of towns and small cities around the United States, as they grow, as they expand, as new development happens, you know, like we're standing in front of the Fredericksburg National Stadium here. This is all new in the Fredericksburg area. As that new growth happens, the downtown areas just seem to dry up and really just go into ruins. That is certainly not the case in Fredericksburg. Fredericksburg has a thriving downtown. You know, from your shops and restaurants and antique stores and museums and all that. They even have a First Fridays event every Friday, the first Friday of every month, I should say, where they're celebrating the arts, the culture, you know, everything that's special about Fredericksburg. But we have a thriving downtown.
Yeah, my daughter just recently moved downtown, and I feel like she's like opening my eyes to even more that's down there that I'm just, or haven't been aware of, because I'm not down there like she is now. But she's absolutely loving it, especially the walkability. Is that the right word? Walkability.
That is the right word.
To everything that's down there.
And boy, Ruthie's right. Fredericksburg's a very walkable city. You know, we've talked about before how many people walk to work that live downtown, but you know, you can get to virtually everything that you need. It's very, very self-contained if you live in the downtown areas. It's a great city for walkability. You know, another pro, there are a lot of history buffs out there, and if that's you, you're going to absolutely love Fredericksburg. You know, there's so much history here, but there's a lot of historical sites. Of course, you got George Washington's Ferry Farm. You have, you know, the Kenmore House, the Mary Washington House, the Apothecary, the battlefields, all that. There is a ton of history here.
Yeah, another thing that my eyes have been open to, I mean, I know there's history here, but we get so busy with normal life every day, you know, go, go, go. But my brother, when he comes to visit, is always wanting to hit some of these historical sites in the area.
Yeah, and on that note, if you have never taken the Fredericksburg trolley tour, you should do that. I think I've mentioned that before too, but it's wonderful. I've been on it a number of times, a lot of times when family and friends come to visit, and I always learn something new. And even if it's a renewed topic that I knew about already, I typically hear it from a different perspective. So if you're local and you haven't done it, you should do it. If you're coming here thinking about moving here, you should definitely hit that Fredericksburg trolley. You're going to learn a lot and recognize some of the great history that we have here.
So let's talk about the weather in Fredericksburg. The weather you can actually see maybe as a pro or a con. It depends on who you are. With our Fredericksburg weather, we kind of get, well, not kind of, we get all 4 seasons. I mean, you're going to see some of every season in this area. One of the things that people, I think a lot of people will see as a negative is the humidity. We do hear a lot of people talk about how humid it is here.
Yeah, so Ruthie and I are both warm weather lovers. I'd much rather be hot than cold any day of the year. But yeah, the humidity to a lot of people seems to be very, very bad here. You know, my brother, for instance, he comes to visit, he walks outside and he acts like someone slapped him in the mouth with the humidity. So if you're one of those people that just hate humidity, you know, and you're coming from some place where it's not humid, you might want to rethink that. But Ruthie's right, we have all 4 seasons, although I will say if you are a snow lover, this might not be your place either, because we go years, like this year sometimes, with no or virtually no snow.
Yes.
But boy, when it happens, sometimes we get absolutely hammered. I can definitely point to some times where we've had back-to-back snowstorms that's, you know, waist deep. But we do have all 4 seasons. We do have humidity. Circling back to history, this is another pro. If you're someone who likes history, like historic homes, you're going to utterly love Fredericksburg. We have more historic homes here in Fredericksburg than 97% of the country. In fact, I think we've talked about this, but a lot of the majority of the homes, 61.5% of the homes in downtown were built before 1939, and a lot of them way before 1939. But if you have ever fantasized about living in a historic home, we are the place you want to live. And even if you just like looking at historic homes, you're going to like Fredericksburg.
There are some beautiful homes, especially downtown. My mother-in-law was here over Christmas, and I had gone downtown for something, and she had ridden with me. And when we were down there, it's a place that she hadn't really been before. She was just admiring and chatting about the homes as we were passing them. Another pro, especially a pro for me, because I like to shop, if you like to shop, there is no loss for it in the Fredericksburg area.
Yeah, we've got some pretty major or pretty primary places for shopping. Like where we are here at the Fred Nat Stadium, we're just outside of Central Park Marketplace. That's a big shopping venue. Used to be a golf course, but now it's a big shopping venue, and pretty much, you know, everything that you're going to want is in there. But right across Route 3 from that, we've got Spotsylvania Town Center Mall. On the south end of town, we've got the Cosner's Corner and South Point area. The point being, if you need it, you can probably find it here in Fredericksburg between the venues that we just mentioned and the small boutique shops downtown, which I love small businesses. I always shop there first if I can, but we've got you covered as far as shopping is concerned here, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree on that.
All right, another pro to living here in Fredericksburg is the cost of living as compared to Northern Virginia. So a lot of people end up living here in Fredericksburg because they are working in Northern Virginia. If you were to move up there, let's say to Fairfax City, let's say Fairfax, and you compare the cost of living there to here in Fredericksburg, you're going to find it's about 40% higher up there. So you know, the cost of living here in Fredericksburg as compared to Northern Virginia is very good. Another pro tying into that is the cost of housing. If you're buying a home up there, and again, in say Fairfax, you're going to pay a price that's about 126% above the national average. Not 26%, 126% above the national average. We are significantly lower in the cost of our housing down here in Fredericksburg.
Yeah, it is quite astounding. I mean, we're in all areas, surrounding areas all the time, but when you look at a home, a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath home here, and you compare it to somewhere up north, I mean, you're talking big money difference between up north to here.
Yeah, big difference. But, you know, so that's putting the positive spin on it. That's the pros, because compared to Northern Virginia, we are way better in terms of cost of living and cost of housing. But there are also cons, because if you look at the cost of living in Fredericksburg, you compare that to the national average, The last stat I saw was we're about 8% above in the cost of living as compared to the national average, but I think it's actually a little bit higher than that. I think probably around 10% higher than the national average. So if you are living in Oklahoma and you're moving here, you're probably going to recognize that you're paying about 10% more for pretty much everything than you were there. And another con is our cost of housing. Again, we're exponentially lower than further north in Northern Virginia, but compared to the rest of the country, the national average, we are about 23 to 25% higher cost of housing here than we are other places. So again, if you're moving from, let's say, Ohio to here, you're probably going to have some pretty serious sticker shock, right?
Yeah, I mean, we hear that a lot when people are moving into the area.
Yeah, it seems to be, especially if someone's moving from someplace like Texas or something like that. They come here, they're like, whoa, that costs what?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, another pro to the Fredericksburg area is we are a great place for young professionals. There's a lot of reasons for that. First and foremost, if I do a lot of research so that we are always on top of our game when people ask us questions about moving here, what's around here, you know, all the things about living, working, and playing here, we want to know the answers, and if we don't know them, we want to know immediately how to find them. So we do a ton of research, and the last stat I saw that is within an hour's drive of where we were standing right here, there's over 300,000 jobs. So a lot of people are moving here. A lot of those people are young professionals because a lot of those jobs are in the tech industry. And of course, government jobs and things like that as well, but great area for young professionals. But one of the things that we've learned about working with a lot of these young professionals is they like to work hard, but boy, they like to play hard too. They love all of the outdoor activities that we have in and around the area, you know, the parks, the trails, beaches, mountains.
Endless things to do in this area.
Yep. Including the Fredericksburg Nationals ballpark. You know, all that outdoor activity is fine, but there's nothing quite like a night at the ball game. And you know, for me personally, I've been to a lot of baseball games, both pro and minor league. Nothing, in my opinion, is more fun than a minor league baseball game. You know, people are just playing for keeps, and you know, it's a lot cozier environment. This is no different. This is a great place to catch a ball game.
It gets packed, and I mean, it is definitely a good time, and everybody was so excited whenever it was going to open, and ever since, I mean, they can pack the stadium for sure. It's a really pretty stadium.
Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful ballpark. One other thing that young professionals seems to be really important to them is where they live. They want it to be a dog-friendly environment. And Fredericksburg certainly is a dog-friendly city. If you go downtown, virtually any time along the streets, you're going to see people walking their dogs. Of course, we have the dog park as well if you happen to live downtown and want to take advantage of the dog park. But we're a very dog-friendly city. In fact, we've had clients who tell us they're buying the house because of the yard. The yard is for their dog, not for them.
Yeah.
They're buying the house, basically buying the house for their dog. So it is important to people, especially young professionals. This is a great area for young professionals.
Well, and just real quick on the dog thing too, because I love puppies and dogs, but several of the pools in the area also have a dog swim, like at the end of summer. Every year there's several pools in the area that will have like a dog swim, and it's just the cutest thing.
And our final pro is the best realtors in the business happen to actually live here as well. But seriously, if you are considering moving to Fredericksburg, you have questions about living here, working here, playing here, please call us. A lot of people do. We get calls all the time. People having questions about what it's like to live and work and play here. We want that call. If you have a question, we want that call from you. Our phone number should be on the screen. It's definitely in the description below. Call us, text us, email us, send carrier pigeons, smoke signals. It doesn't matter. We are going to respond to you, and we are happy to do just that. So that's the pros and cons for 2023 of living in Fredericksburg, and we will see you in the next video.